In case we haven't met, my name is Douglas Massi, and I'd like to welcome you to our YouTube channel, Final Expense Trainer. Now, in this video, we're going to do something different. We're actually going to share with you an audio recording of one of our training calls. And the reason that I picked this training call is because of what happened just a few days after we did the call. You see, several of the agents that got on the Facebook leads that we go over in this call did really well. I mean, their numbers popped and they were freaking out at how good they actually did and how little they paid for these leads. Some of the other topics we're going to talk about in this call are the basics of field underwriting, how to work leads, including Facebook leads, the best times to call them, the best days to door knock them, and we're going to go over a really important topic. And this is something that was a game changer for me. How to find the best areas to work near you. Coming up next. So, before we play this recording, I'm going to ask that you give this video a thumbs up or a like, as this lets us know that you're actually watching the videos. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do that now, because we do put out a lot of true training videos on a regular basis. And to take it one step further, if you'd like to be notified each time we put out one of our training videos, just click on that little bell-looking thing that's down there right next to the subscribe button. So let's let her roll. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the training call. We do have, I think we've got a pretty good call ahead of us today. This is going to be an important one. Yeah, a couple of interesting things. I do want to go over two different things on today's call. Some of the basics of field underwriting, and I know we talk about this. I think I just did a call on field underwriting like 5 weeks ago or something. We're going to talk about these basics of underwriting because this is stuff that everybody needs to be doing anyways. And I think even there's seasoned agents that are on this call that, you know what, we all fall into these weird little habits. So I want to make sure you guys are doing the same thing with each prospect every time with the underwriting, so that you're giving them the right price, the right product, and that you know before you go that they're approved or not. Simple as that. Let's start with this. This is your tip of the day. So going forward on Monday, we may have a tip of the day. Today, we are having a tip of the day. Just an FYI, every state and county is a little bit different, the way that the prospects are, the type of people. You know, in some states, it's really, and a lot of states, you know, and let's say in the South, not the South Florida, but like north of Florida, you know, the southern states, we have a lot of country people. And let's just say it seems like a large amount of people, you know, it's specifically people that kind of grew up there. And in most cases, they're either black or white. It's pretty simple. But then you've got other places like Florida, like California, even Texas, where on one given day, let me just here's what I see. On one day, with a booked up day, I will sit down with a family that is from Haiti, so their primary language is Creole. Hispanic folks. I know a lot of us, we see a lot of Hispanic people too. The people from Jamaica, we see that a lot too. And then like in Florida, we get a lot of these transplants, these people that are from up north where some of you guys live, you know, up, Pennsylvania, whatever, New Jersey, and they move down here to get a cheaper life, to do things cheaper. So every state and every county is different. The trick is to find out what works best for you and how to target your people. And I can only give you tips. All I can really say is, in some cases, you are better off door knocking. And what I've learned is that generally half of our agents, maybe even more than half, end up door knocking most of their sales. So their sales are made by primarily door knocking. You've got to keep that in mind. You've got to find out what works. I was taught in Florida to only door knock leads I did that until we got rained on a couple days in a row, and I drove over 2 hours, 2 days in a row, got rained on all day. It was really frustrating and aggravating, and no sales. And then I got on the phone, and then for me, I realized it wasn't that hard. For some people just aren't good on the phone. Really, the idea is to get better at it. But if you're in an area where it's just, like if you're trying to set it, I'll say this, if you're trying to set final expense appointments in Miami, forget it. It ain't happening. Door knocking is going to be hard. Getting past the guard gates, getting over their fence. You'll see people, they got this sign on the fence, trespassers will be shot. It's some areas are tougher, not to be discouraged, because we do see signs like that in a lot of the sort of rural areas too, but it's not that bad. My point is, you've got to find what works best. If you start this business by door knocking your leads 100%, 4 to 5 days a week, this probably is the best way to guarantee a strong start immediately for everyone. So let me just say that one more time. If you start this business by door knocking 100% of your leads 4 to 5 days a week, this is probably going to be your best bet, your best way to get a good start. So the agents that start off that way and then get into calling, that's really the way I suggest doing it. If you're a newer agent, you probably should be door knocking all your leads. If you're on this call and you're thinking door knocking, yeah, I'm not really going to do much of that, this business isn't for you. Please send me an email. Let me know I need to release your contracts. This isn't going to work for you. It's not going to work. Can't work. Impossible. Most of your sales will probably come from door knocking. So if you're trying to pick the low-hanging fruit, this business doesn't work. There is no low-hanging fruit. But in the same rate, they kind of all are. By doing the system we teach you, this system is how to pick those low-hanging fruit. So if you're trying to get, let me just call my Facebook leads 2 times in a day and see what I get, you're done. It's not going to work, guys. That's why we've got this call. That's your tip of the day. If you start this business by door knocking your leads 100%, 4 to 5 days a week, this will be the best way to guarantee a strong start, immediate sales. And I'm speaking to you guys, especially if you're in California and Florida. That may be the only way you can do this. For some of you guys, this may be the only way for you to make a living at this business. Calling to set appointments may not work in your area or even your state. Yes, we call to set appointments in some areas in Florida. I've got areas that I go to and areas that I know I ain't going to do nothing in. The tough part about this business is all I can tell you is what I see on paper, what I think. Oh, I think this area would be better than that area. And I can teach you why. And we have a video on our website called Pulling Data. And that video basically gives you a general idea of what I see on paper. Pulling Data, it's for new agents, you've got to request access to those videos. And that's how you'll get it. Just remember another thing. I don't know how good you are on the phone, how easy or hard the area is that you work. I can only tell you what I see on paper. And what I do, just so you know, I check the data. I see the average household income in that area, the home values in that area. That's all I'm seeing when I say I check it on paper. So some underwriting basics I want to go over real quick. Always have each client pull out their medication or their medication bottles or their list, whether they take the medication or not. So what I tell them is, Mrs. Jones, I need you to get up and go grab all your medicine bottles, even if you're not taking it. I need to know what you're prescribed, everything. And if you've got old bottles in there, go grab those too. Let me see everything you got. You need to get them out of the chair to go get their medication. The second thing you want to do is pull out the medication knockout list or medication guide for each carrier. Every agent on this call should be doing exactly what I'm telling you to do. You get all the medication bottles. You got to be strong with getting them to bring back the medication. I had a lady last week. I applied to 2 different companies. Both companies declined her. She's holding something back from me. I know this is going to happen to you guys. They're going to do this for whatever reason. So whether it's they trust you or not, you got to do the best you can to get them to grab those bottles. Then you pull out the medication. If you're leading with Transamerica, Transamerica has a really thick medication guide, so you can look up every single one of them. Some of the carriers, like Royal Neighbors and Mutual of Omaha, actually have a knockout list. So this may tell you that the medication's a knockout, but it's not going to tell you if the medication's going to go to graded or level. Use Google. You do not want to just go, oh, well, Mrs. Jones told me this pill's for high blood pressure. Well, Jerry, let me just say it's warfarin. Warfarin's not for high blood pressure. That client thinks it's for high blood pressure. Warfarin's a blood thinner. It's one of the strongest blood thinners out there. So you may not get first aid coverage if they're taking this. It's important that you know this. That's why you've got Google. Don't just trust the client. Well, trust the client, but verify. Verify. It's like, I always use the old, what was it, back in the 80s, Reagan versus Gorbachev. Reagan said, trust, but verify. Believe your clients, but verify. Okay? I'm telling you, sometimes they're going to think one thing. They could be taking a medication for Alzheimer and say, well, this is my memory pill. It's really nothing. That's what it is. It's really nothing because that's what the doctor's doing. The doctor's not saying, Mrs. Jones, I'm sorry, you've got Alzheimer's disease. Your mind is going. They're not doing that. They're saying, oh, I'm just going to give you this memory pill to help things along. Guys, that memory pill, if it's for Alzheimer's, you'll know as soon as you Google it. If they tell you this is a medicine, trust me, this is what it is, say, okay, great, Google it. Yeah, I know I said that 15 times. You guys need to be Googling it. There's 16 times. So a third thing I recommend is that you lead with a carrier that has a point of sale interview. Royal Neighbors, Sentinel, Mutual of Omaha. You sit down with the client. You do the point of sale interview. At the end of the interview, they're going to say approved as applied for or not. That way you can switch gears if they say, nope, we're going to offer your client graded. Or, boom, sorry, nope. It looks like it might be a decline. Okay. Or they'll sometimes say, well, we got to go to this is going to have to go do further underwriting. When they do further underwriting, that's usually not a good sign. So I switch gears. Use the cheat sheet that you guys got. I sent you a cheat sheet. If you're a new agent, it's okay to call me for underwriting assessments. If you've been doing this for a couple of years and you've been calling me a lot, and I know there's some of you guys that might be on this call that do that, you really shouldn't be calling me, but if you need my help, I'm there for you. It's all good. Guys, so during this call, we're going to go over the Facebook leads. I'm going to say text me if you got any questions. I'll check the phone. I'll see a little ding go up. And if you got any questions over anything I've said so far, you can go ahead and text me, and I'll answer you if it's applicable. So this new lead vendor, what they did is he's figured out this guy. So we spoke a couple of months ago when I was out of town, and this is someone I purchased leads from years ago, so I know it's a dependable vendor. And he called me and told me what he was doing and what he had accomplished. And what he did was he basically paid someone hundreds of thousands of dollars that was already using these Facebook algorithms and doing this to teach him and help set him up for final expense. So they weren't doing final expense. So that's what he did. We're getting a deal, and the system he's got, it's working. The bang for your buck is really, really good. The return on investment, we're seeing agents getting at least a 600 to over 1,000% return on investment. So you know what? Let me read this. Here's how this works with the Facebook leads. Each lead campaign, it's specific to you, the agent. The landing page is specific to you. It's going to have your name on it and your phone number, your cell number on it. Once the prospect sends in the information, they're going to get an email immediately within 2 minutes. They're also going to get a text within 5 minutes saying, thank you for requesting the information, something along the lines of that. David will be in contact with you within 48 hours. So they're getting this. It's really clear that something's going to happen. I think that's part of the reason why it's easy for some of these people to get a little buyer's remorse right off the bat, because they're like, oh yeah, I'm getting contacted by an insurance agent. Nobody likes that, guys. So you've got to be able to push through with these folks, because that's kind of what happens. I think it's normal. And maybe, I'm going to say this. For those of you who have been with, let's say, one of my so-and-so competitors, these companies that like giving you these shitty low contracts and then make everything sound good, the last thing they're going to tell you is what I'm telling you right now, which is the truth.
People will get buyer's remorse before they even speak with someone. It's like something, they're like, okay, I filled out the form requesting the information about the life insurance. This guy's going to contact me. But here's what happens. The good thing about this lead, and when it does that, is some of these people will actually text you or call you. And you will set appointments right then and there. I've spoken with several of you guys on the phone that have told me that this has happened for you. It's pretty darn strong. We weren't getting that with the other Facebook lead. Now, here's another interesting thing. What this guy is doing, they're running, I should say what his program does, is it runs up over 200 ads specific to you. So it's like, boom, the name changes, and then these ads run constantly on Facebook. It's like, boom, 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 one after another, after another. That's part of the reason why we're able to get so many leads. And he's also monitoring it. He's got someone that works for him that actually monitors it. They check it on a daily basis. If not enough leads come in, then what they do is they change the data. They make changes so they can get you more leads sooner. That's the idea of this lead, is to get you more sooner. We don't want 1 or 2 or 3 leads to trickle in a day. We want the order to be filled. We want you to get whatever you're supposed to be getting, which is basically no less than 25 leads within a few days. So that's the trick. That's what he's doing that's different. Within a few days of turning this on, you're getting your orders filled. It's pretty darn fast. Let me see. Also, what they're seeing is they're seeing a video that actually says that you'll be in contact with them. It pops up on the landing page. This guy's got it set up completely different. I know I've been talking about everyone's getting a lot of leads. I'm going to give you, this is what Frank did. He did receive 3 weeks, 3 campaigns. He did receive over 100 leads. So for $300 a week, he received 3 weeks in a row, $900. He received over 100 leads. He did write $9,458 in premium. So $900, he wrote $9,458. So if every one of those clients take the policy, and if every one of them stays good for 12 months, Frank just made the commission level averages, let's call it 100%. Frank just made $9,000 in 3 weeks, $3,000 a week. So that's, what is that? That's 1,000% return on investment. So we know this is working. There you go. So we know it's working, and there's a bunch of you guys on the call that right now are like, yeah, I know it's working. We did get an agent in Atlanta, 42 leads a couple of weeks ago. It was 2 or 3 weeks ago. She's ordering every week. She's making several sales every week. So we're gonna talk about a little bit. I bring up Atlanta for a reason, because there are places that are better to work in, and I mentioned earlier, than others. All places are different. Let me just go over something that I want you guys to understand from something I've learned. My perspective is there's kind of like, there's something that works and there's something that really doesn't work with final expense. And it's like this attitude of ordering leads. There's this mentality that a lot of people have, well, they want to try it. We all want to try it. But when you just try something, unless you have, when it comes to leads, hundreds of leads, you really don't have an accurate picture. All you know is, I just tried it, and this is the picture, and this is what I got. So when you do this, 80% of you guys, if you just order leads one time and never order, you're not going to want to order them again. Like if you do a one-time order, because you probably won't do good enough to see the light, for the light to come on to see, oh yeah, I can do really good with this. Because most of you guys aren't going to have the experience when you're brand spanking new. Frank, the numbers I talked about, Frank's a seasoned agent. He knows how to sell. He knows how to close. He knows what product to put these people with. Okay? He's not a screw up like I am with the underwriting. It took me, I was speaking with an agent this morning. It took me, in my second year is when I started to really get the underwriting. I am a slow as hell learner, guys. I am just the slowest poke there is. And I just knew how to close sales and push people in. That was me. I'm the idiot, I'm the robot. I got the hammer. That's me. I'm the guy with the hammer banging on the nail. Okay, that's me. Kind of like a closing machine. And so, unfortunately, that's my background. I'm a salesman. I'm not an insurance agent first. I had to learn this insurance stuff. So here's what happens. We've got these two different attitudes when it comes to leads. One that works, one that doesn't. If you're thinking, let me just try a batch of these leads and see how it works, I'm telling you right now, it's probably not going to work for you, because if you don't do really good right from the start, you're going to give up and quit. I invested $300. Oh, no, I'm not going to do that again. Guess what? Had you invested that $300 for, let me give you a bigger number, for 12 weeks in a row, by the end of that 12th week, everything you would have seen better numbers. You'd have gotten an actual average, as to where when you only try a couple of batches, it doesn't really work. So what doesn't work is, let me just try it. What does work is, let me commit to 90 days. And I say 90 days, we ask you to at least commit to 30 days because, at least that's something. To me, 30 days, it'll work. Having this attitude of, okay, yeah, this makes sense. No matter what, I am going to commit to getting leads every single week for at least the first couple of months. Because by committing that way, you are seeing a picture of what's going to happen. And also by committing that way, if you do, let's say the 90-day commitment, let's call it a 12-week commitment, I guarantee your numbers are going to be better in month 3 than they were in month 1. I guarantee. It's like it can't be. You only have one way to go. It's up. You're going to get better at working whatever type of, and this goes for whatever type of lead you're working, you're going to get better at it. You're going to get a feel of what to do and what not to do. And if you're a new agent, it's the only way you're going to get through the learning curve. If you're on this call saying, shoot, Doug, I've been selling final expense for a year now. Well, let me ask you this. Have you gotten leads every single week for that year? If you took weeks and months off, that killed your learning curve. Are you buying 10 to 15 leads a week? If so, you're not buying enough weeks for me to even break wind. It's not enough. You're never going to get through the learning curve. So the nice thing about the way we've got this darn Facebook deal set up is, for $300, if you'll commit paying $900 up front, and that's the new deal we've got. You pay $900 up front. What he will guarantee you is no less than 25 leads a week for your first 3 weeks. So you're paying 3 weeks in advance, but by doing that, he'll guarantee it. Most of the agents are receiving 30 and more leads anyways. So that's why I love this. It commits you to at least 3 weeks. You can do a one-time order with us. He'll guarantee 18 leads. If you say, hey, I just want to do 4 weeks in a row, I'm just going to pay $300, he'll guarantee you 20 leads a week. But if you do what I suggest, which is the best deal I could squeeze out of this guy, for $900, you're paying for 3 weeks in advance, he'll guarantee you 25 leads a week. Guys, the other lead vendor, it was like we were paying between $20 and $23 per lead. At 25 leads, you're going to make me do math. Let's see, 300 divided by 25 equals, you're paying $12 a lead. Hello? You're paying just about half the price for the lead. Guys, I can't get a better deal than this. I'm pulling miracles here that none of these other agencies are doing. So there's no reason for anybody on this call not to be committed to some type of lead. The Facebook lead, it's working. Also, I suggest you do target smaller cities. So we'll get back to our agent that I mentioned earlier that lives in Atlanta. So she targeted Atlanta, okay, and what happened was a lot of these leads came in from downtown Atlanta. And so it was kind of, she was able to get a lot of leads, 42 of them, but some of them were in areas that she flat out was not comfortable going into. So I can say the same thing about me. I live by Miami. I don't know if y'all remember back in the 80s, some guy on a motorcycle did something, crime or something, and a cop shot him off the motorcycle, and then there was rioting in Overtown. This all happened in Overtown. Guys, I ain't going to Overtown to sell insurance, okay? Let me just say this, okay? Let me just say this. If I get an appointment there, if I'm calling to set an appointment, okay, that's different. But I'm not going to go door knocking leads in Overtown, Miami. I'm not going to do that. That's not for me. Now, I do know, let me just say this, that there are agents on this call that have gone to Orange County, California, places that have a reputation of being dangerous, Atlanta, downtown Atlanta, that will do it. But the reason I'm bringing all this up is because I personally think that these areas, for me, are kind of harder to sell in anyways. So I'm targeting smaller cities. Instead of the large metros, I want to avoid them like the plague, okay? I am not going to be going to Miami. I am not doing Fort Lauderdale. I'll go to that smaller city. I'll target that Bradenton for an example. And if you're thinking you're in Florida, now I mentioned Bradenton, I beat the hell out of it. So you go and try to sell in Bradenton. But it's better than Miami. So let me just say that. So even though it's beat up, it's going to be easier to sell there than Miami. Okay? Period. These leads, you got to give the guy the target area, the target city. What he's going to do is basically target a 25 to 50 mile radius. It'll start with 25, and he's telling me that's what he's got it down to. Okay, so he's better than the other lead vendor, just went right to 50 right off the bat. So this guy starts with 25. If he gets enough data, enough leads come in the first day, then he keeps it. If he needs to up it, he'll go to 50. That's nice. Right off the bat, we're actually able to get Facebook leads in a closer area today than what I could do for you 6 weeks ago. Everything is working a little bit better working with this vendor. The other thing about these Facebook leads, they're coming in real time, guys. So here's how to work them. Now, and this is the important part of this call. Here's what you do. And I'm just going to go down and say, we're going to call this 1 through 5. 1, you call them immediately. The text just came in. Boom, it pops up on my screen. I got the email. You have a new lead. Boom, I'm calling them immediately. I'm not texting them immediately. I'm calling them. So if you're on your phone day where you're calling your leads 8 to 10 times a day on your phone day, and you've got buildup of leads, you're calling it immediately. Then you're calling it again, and you're calling it again until you get a hold of it. But if you're already in the field and the lead comes in, you want to call the lead. Oh, I just came out of my appointment. Let's see, I'm on my way to my next appointment, or I'm going to door knock. Let me call that lead. Call it. They don't answer, call it again. Remember, they got a notification saying that David is going to be in contact with them from this number. It was on the landing page. They also got a text saying that. So if they don't pick up, as far as I'm concerned, that's where we want. This is good because now you can go door knock the lead. Hey, Mrs. Jones, about an hour ago, you sent in this form. Guys, you're there. You're there while they're hot to trot. And that is the ideal way to do. Call them immediately. If you're in the field, go and door knock it if you can't get them right on the phone. I'll say try it on the phone. If you're a door knocker, just go to door knocking. Don't call. You go door knock it. Hey, Mrs. Jones, I'm in the area. I stopped by because you didn't answer the phone. You'd filled out that little form a little while ago. Timing was right. I just figured I'll stop by because I'm actually down the street. Make it make sense. It's easy to do that, guys. You're salespeople. This is where that sales skill comes in. Some people will appreciate that and go, wow, that was quick. Great. Other people are going to be jerks. Well, blah, 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 and you're going to get the same nonsense. So be ready to overcome your objections as always. Number 2, call the Facebook. Every single lead, any lead, Facebook lead, direct mail, any lead you get, you're calling it on your phone days 8 to 10 times. Okay, if you're not in the field and you're home or you're not out in the field selling insurance, well, what are you doing? If you're new, you're what? Twiddling your thumbs? No, you're not twiddling your thumbs. Hanging out, you're on Facebook? No, you're not on Facebook looking at the kitty cat videos. You're not doing any of that. You're calling through your leads. Now, this is another reason why it's important to get leads every single week. Because if you just try some leads, then you aren't going to have any buildup. You really need to be on leads every week so that 6 months from now, you've got a buildup of leads over the past month or two of people that you haven't been able to reach, that you've door knocked, that you've tried, that you've texted, and we'll get back to that too, and I'm going to get to that coming up here in a minute. But these are people that you need to reach, so you should always have this buildup. By committing to leads every week, you've got this buildup of maybe 50 to 80 leads or even more of people that you're going to reach. When I first got into insurance, when I first did mortgage protection, I remember one of my sales. I remember this sale that came from, it was like one of my first weeks of leads. So I was about 3 to 4 months into doing it, into selling. And I was just like, it was like that joke lead. It was like, well, I'll call it again. And it's, I'd already called it. I want to say I probably called it, a couple hundred times maybe. And I know this sounds drastic, but somebody finally answered the phone. It was a transplant. So, she lives out of state, bought property here, something or whatever, another. So the next thing you know, I'm in front of her, and it was a big sale for me. It was like back then I was selling mortgage protection. It was like a $350 a month sale. So you're going to get sales from these people from this buildup. Again, there's your next reason. That's why you can't just, let me try some leads. Don't try leads. Let me commit to leads. I commit to leads. That's all part of it. You got to have people to call every day. If you think you're going to call the people 2 or 3 times in a day, and that's how you're going to call them, that's how you're going to do this business won't work. I'm doing this call to teach you it won't work. It didn't work for me when I tried to do it, but I know if I call all my leads 8 to 10 times every day that I'm at home on my phone days, I'm going to get appointments. So the leads, my Facebook leads, I'll give you an example. I'm just going to use Facebook leads as an example because I'm working other leads. The leads that I got for this batch, I'm going out in the field tomorrow. I had leads started coming in on Friday. I've got 3 appointments so far for tomorrow. Is that a lot? No, it's not. But guess what? I got 3 appointments from Facebook leads, and I probably wouldn't have gotten those appointments had we not called the damn leads so many times. I may have only had 1 or none. Okay. So keep that in mind. Now, number 3, door knock the lead within 24 hours. Say what? Yes. Exceptions. There are exceptions. Okay. There's no way the lead comes in on a Friday night when you got home you just got out of the field. You're not going to be back on Tuesday. Call the lead, set the appointment, call it. You won't be able to door knock it till Tuesday because you're coming back. Okay. I understand that. But that's because that's when I'm traveling. So our system really works best. It can work if you're one of those agents like me that can only be in the field a few days a week because I got to drive 3 hours away to the areas that I work. Okay, if that's you, I understand why you cannot door knock it immediately. If that's not you and you're working within an hour or an hour and a half from your home, there's no excuse for you not to be able to get to that lead and door knock it within 24 to, let's say, 48 hours the max. But I am telling you, you want to door knock the leads. These Facebook leads, the shelf life isn't like direct mail. Remember, they will start to get buyer's remorse as soon as they fill out the dang thing. It's stupid, but it's the nature of people are weird. Our thinking isn't, we don't sit there and fill out forms, requesting life insurance thinking, yeah, I like this. I'm going to go buy me some life insurance. Geez, I hope they send an insurance agent out here. There's my check. Yeah, I got my checkbook open. It's ready for them. They don't think that way. It's the opposite. What they think is, we'll see what this is. That's pretty much as far as my thinking goes with something like this. We'll see what it is. They don't get into it. It can't hurt to fill it out. That's all part of our business. That's why you're learning real sales tactics. For those of you who are old school health insurance agents where you had people that had to have health insurance that you were selling, needed health insurance, it was an easy sale. This isn't that. This is life insurance. Your clients are not getting something. They're not going to see this thing that happens when they get sick, that the insurance, what happens is they die and their family gets some. You're selling air. Okay, that's what you're selling. You're selling something that's invisible to them, but what's not invisible is they're paying every month. So that's why insurance sales, life insurance sales it's a sales job, guys. You got to learn the stuff that I teach you. Learn how to overcome the objections. The people that are best at selling are the people that spend more time with the clients and are okay with accepting that these people are going to say no. You're going to get a lot of no's. That's the people that do good. So and then I'm sorry I got off topic. Let me go right back. Door knock the leads within 24 to 48 hours, at least 3 times that day. So you can't say, well, I went by in the morning and then that was it. No, you got to go by in the morning. They're not there. Go by in the afternoon and then go by at the end of the day before you're finished with your day. That's how you have to do this. That's how you door knock the leads. Some of you guys, again, are just going to be better off taking the lead and going and door knocking it. If you just know you're in a really tough area or a tougher state like Florida and California, and you've already experienced, wow, this seems really tough, it's probably because it is tough. Some people are really good at this, and some of us aren't. Some of us get lucky. Let me say it that way too. So you got to find what works for you. Some of you guys on this call, some of us should probably only door knock. You've got to figure out if that's you or not. Okay, that really is the bottom line. Again, every state and county is completely different. Number 4, text the lead. Okay, so I mentioned texting a lead. It slipped out of my mouth a little bit earlier. Text the lead once you've door knocked it and called it after a few days. So now you're calling the lead day after day. You've gone and door knocked it. Maybe you've even door knocked it a second day. You know, you've gone 2, 3, 4 times during a day, a second time. At some point within that first few days, and that's, remember, shelf life, you want to start texting. So that's kind of the way to do this. You know, you're calling, then you're door knocking, or you're just door knocking. And then the next step is to text. Let's see, somebody sent me a message. Let's see, I got a couple now. Couple questions. Do I leave a delivery notice? Hey, that's a good question. Okay, delivery notices, we leave those delivery notices for direct mail. I'm going to say, Facebook lead, this is still new. So that's one answer. I can't give you an honest, I'm not sure. Let me think about this. Should I leave a delivery notice on a Facebook lead? I would say you're better off eventually leaving it. Yeah, eventually. Like you've done everything, you've texted, and now you're a week later or 10 days later, you're going into a couple of weeks. Yeah, we want to keep that. That's another lead we're going to keep calling. Shoot, it's not going to hurt to drop off one of those little delivery notices. Yes. So that's kind of what I would suggest doing that. Jeff asked about population. So yeah, Jeff, you know what? That's why I say you need some people. Jeff lives out in the kind of middle of nowhere, one of those places. He's like in this corner of where there's 3 or 4 states that like meet. Like, you know, he's like within a few minutes of a few different state lines. It's a mess. So, and it's kind of out in the country. So here's what I'll say. Pick the city. If it's a city you like you went there and you did really good. Like, you know, Jeff's been in the field. He's one of our newer agents. He's been licensed for a few months. He's been in the field 6 weeks. He and I actually spoke this morning, and he has gotten 25 sales over 6 weeks. So he's working the system. He's doing what we're teaching. He's learning he's making the mistakes we all make. He's getting through the learning curve, figuring out what works and what doesn't work in his area. And so it's all part of the learning curve. He's only 6 weeks into it, but he's got 25 sales because he's doing what we're teaching. Jeff, to answer your question, if it's a city that you know you do good in, try it, target it. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to find out, because what will happen is when the leads start coming in, if only like 1 or 2 or maybe 3 leads come in on that first day, these guys are going to make adjustments, and they're going to take that 25-mile radius and they're going to pop it out the 50-mile radius. And if worse comes to worse, and it just ends up being where they can't, for some reason they can't, remember, we're getting 30 to over 40 leads with some agents. For some reason they can't, then he may have to expand it. He hasn't had to. So I think that answers your question right there. Yeah, if you see a city you like, target that smaller city, that smaller town. Just remember, he's going to have to spread it out. So that's where you're going to start seeing other places. So the next thing you know, you may have one appointment an hour away from the other, or even further potentially. I don't know. It's not the same as it was with that vendor that you used. When Jeff came on his first couple of weeks, he used the other lead vendor. Those guys automatically went for the 50-mile radius. This guy's not doing that. So I'd say give it a shot. If you like, I don't know, some little town that nobody ever heard of and you did good there, target that town. I think that's pretty much it, guys. Guys, hopefully you got something out of this today. If you're interested in getting Facebook leads, send me an email. If you need me, please give me a holler, anything, whatever. Text me, email, call. For those of you who are new and you haven't gotten your training stuff, it will happen. I'm going to work on that this morning. We'll work on that this afternoon. Go out there and have a really good week, guys. If you need Facebook leads, Any leads, any questions, please shoot me an email first is what I'm going to suggest. Order your leads. Get on your leads. Commit. Don't try some leads. Commit to leads. Go out there and kick some butt. Happy hunting.